Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Locker Talk ATX San Antonio. My name is Thomas Bingham, joined alongside by Evan Barr. We are the voices for sports talk in the Austin, San Antonio Hill Country. We're excited to be kicking off another show together. Obviously, this is the third one that you and I have teamed up for. People more recently remember us from the VYPE Hill Country show during the 2018-2019 school year. We also did some radio in 2014-2015 covering area sports. So, you and I really know this area, know the communities, know the schools, know the athletes, know the coaches. So this is just, latest venture together. It's really exciting. Obviously, we got some guys behind the scene who are making us look and sound good, thanks to them. But also, this is an extension of what we have been doing at VYPE in the Houston, Beaumont, and Southeast Texas markets for the last 3.5 years. Obviously, they loved what we were doing. Obviously, your support, your shares, your likes, your listens to, everything got us to this point where, obviously VYPE is excited about not only, making this part of their Locker Talk brand, but also adding the video component, which will allow us, new possibilities, everything from getting, new voices in here, new people in here, new faces, whether it's other people from VYPE Live, formerly known as KMAX Sports, or, coaches, athletes, other notable athletic figureheads in the Austin, San Antonio Hill Country area. But obviously, this show is going to be more, volleyball related. We're going to be kicking off the volleyball season with our preview, letting you know our preseason rankings, public, private, for our huge coverage area. We're also going to be breaking down some of the teams, giving you some athletes to watch. There's a lot to talk about on the show. In the following couple shows, we're going to be talking some football, small, large, private, public. So stay tuned for all that. And then once we get through all these, obviously we'll be getting you weekly coverage on a weekly basis. So there's a lot to obviously stay tuned for. I'm excited. I know Evan is excited as well. So let's kick this thing off and bring you in formally. How are you doing, Evan?
Thomas, I'm happy to join the conversation. I'm pumped to be here. It's a little risky to put both of our faces on camera for the first time, but I can't tell you how excited we both are to finally have our show kind of take that natural progression. Like you said, we started off on radio, and now here we are on video and audio. So a bunch of exciting things happening over here. I'm ready to talk some volleyball, man. In fact, you and I have never really talked a whole lot of volleyball, so this is kind of a step in a new direction for us, kind of out of our comfort zone, but we're pumped for it, and I think we have a lot of good rankings for everybody as we get going.
Oh, for sure. And obviously, when you look at, area programs that have really kind of dominated the scene the last couple of years, a lot of the teams that you're used to hearing from and making noise, late in the postseason, obviously these teams are showing up in our top 10. You want to, start those off and kind of share those with them?
You'll probably hear these names quite a bit as we go throughout the season. We'll start with the VYPE Austin Public School Volleyball Top 10. Rounding out in number 1, we've got Dripping Springs. At number 2, Leander ROUSE. 3, Georgetown. 4, Austin Vandegrift. 5, Cedar Park. 6, Schulenburg. 7, Westlake. 8, Round Rock. 9, Westwood. And 10, Thorndale. So our Austin Public School Volleyball Top 10. Thomas, you and I have talked about Cedar Park and how they have a new coach. We've also talked about a dynamic duo for Dripping Springs. Who in this top 10 kind of stands out to you the most?
I really like Dripping Springs because, they're coming off a state semifinal appearance. Obviously, when you have a Tulsa commit like Avery Kalsu, who was actually the VYPE Austin Girls Athlete of the Year for the 2018-2019 school year, you get some really dynamic play from her. But also the other player that you mentioned, the duo that Dripping Springs has, is fellow All-State player Sarah Nadine. So obviously that's a great dynamic duo. But man, right behind them, you got Leander ROUSE, and you got
1 commits.
Not just that, but 2 Big 12 commits. I mean, you get the TCU commit and Grayson Sherpick, who really, same thing as Avery Kalsu. She ended up on our top 10 athletes from last school year. So there's a lot of exciting moments from ROUSE going into the season. But also, this is a program that has, made some deep runs the last couple of years. 2 years ago, many people remember they made it to the state Final Four. So obviously, they have some experience. They kind of took a step back last year, got off to a rough start, but They had to go through some growing pains. They've gone through those. You have two dynamic seniors, and not only Sherpick, but the Texas commit and Riley Heinrich. And man, that's going to be a really fun matchup if Drip and Spring somehow runs into Leander Rouse.
I'll tell you another team that I'm pretty excited about is Georgetown. I know they're right behind Leander Rouse. They've got 4 All-State players, including an Arizona commit as well. So where do you kind of see them? How competitive are they going to be as the year goes on?
I definitely expect them to take a step forward this year. Like you mentioned, a lot of depth coming back, a lot of talent coming back. That Arizona commit is Emory Herman, and going into this year, we obviously tried to feature a couple athletes at our photo shoot in kind of an opening serve type of photo, and Herman was on it. You had Sherpick on it. Kalsu was on it. Those are 3 of the 4 that were on it, and obviously it's not a surprise that their teams are in the 1, 2, 3 in our preseason rankings. And then number 4, Austin Vandergrift, they have an Oregon commit. Annie Stadhouse, she also was in that photo. So it's not a surprise that when you have really dynamic Division I major talent like these programs have, that they would end up as high as they are in these rankings.
Of course. Let's move to San Antonio Public School Top 10. Starting San Antonio, we've got number 1, Brandeis, number 2, Schertz Clemens, 3, San Antonio Clark, 4, Helotes O'Connor, 5, Geronimo Navarro, 6, San Antonio Harlan, 7, San Antonio Churchill, 8, New Braunfels Canyon, 9, Devine, and 10, New Braunfels, the New Braunfels Unicorns. Let's start with San Antonio Brandeis, since they're the top on the list. How competitive are they going to be this year, and will they be able to just run away with their district?
I think the thing about Brandeis is they're in a really tough district. And so as good as I like them going into the year, they're obviously going to be challenged by San Antonio Clark, who made it to the regional final last year. Helotes O'Connor made it to the state semifinal last year in 6A. So there's a lot of depth in that district. But the thing that excites me about this program is you got 2 TCU commits, sophomores. So obviously this program is going to have these in the next couple of years, one of which is Carly Ferris, who her brother, if you remember, was a San Antonio Reagan player. He obviously committed and signed with New Mexico State to play football. Obviously she got the same similar athletic genes as her brother for being a TCU commit. I mean, 2022 for both her and then the returning player, Jalen Gibson. I mean, really, when you have a team like Brandeis who made a nice run last year, but also have a duo like that, you got to expect them to lead the charge. And the interesting thing is, as good as I like them, there's a lot of depth at the top. I mean, I already mentioned Clark. They got a number of players back. O'Connor, they got some notable players back. Obviously, they're both experienced. You cannot forget about Schertz Clemens, because they got 3 players who are committed to college volleyball, including the Arizona commit, Shelby O'Neill, and they're all seniors. And so when you have talent like that, when you have leadership experience like that, I know Clemens didn't make the deepest run last year, but when you have a trio like that, you got to trust them a lot, and I do.
Absolutely. And moving on to the VYPE San Antonio Private School Volleyball Top 10. Leading the charge, we have Antonian College Preparatory. At number 2, we've got San Antonio Christian School. 3 is Holy Cross of San Antonio, followed by San Antonio Legacy Christian Academy. Number 5, we've got New Braunfels Christian Academy. 6 is Bracken Christian School. Number 7 is San Antonio Incarnate Word. Following them is Geneva School of BOERNE. Then we have Fredericksburg Heritage School and Shiner St. Paul to round everything out. Thomas, there's a lot of mouthfuls going on in that ranking.
Yeah, there's something about private schools and making their names really long. I don't know what it is, but they really like it.
They're trying very hard.
They really are. But the interesting thing is, when you look at this list, and we'll obviously talk about some of the top teams in a moment, you see New Braunfels again. This is a great volleyball town, and people underestimate New Braunfels. I mean, they have a major, big early season tournament in this town. Obviously, they kind of, their name of that tournament, they kind of, link into the whole German heritage of that town. But man, you got, New Braunfels Canyon, New Braunfels Christian Academy. There's something about that town and, them being experts at the sport.
Perhaps Germans are just good at volleyball. We also have Fredericksburg at number 9.
Exactly.
Looking at the top 3 teams here, we've got Holy Cross of San Antonio, and I know they've got some monster players who are looking at some pretty decent college opportunities. How competitive will they be this year?
So I like them in terms of making a jump this year. And the biggest reason why is they have a junior who's committed to Baylor. Her name's Faye Wilbrick, and she's obviously been a long-time commit to Baylor. And they only went to the area round of the playoffs last year, but I do expect them to challenge San Antonio Christian School last year. I know Sachs made it to the state Final Four last year. Obviously, there's a reason why they are as highly ranked as they are. And then you got Antonian, and I think they have one of the deeper groups back this year. And you can't even forget about Legacy Christian Academy, another very deep roster that made a nice run last year. I mean, if you go between Antonian and New Braunfels Christian Academy, there's a lot of talent, a lot of experience, a lot of depth, and would not be surprised if you get a couple state champions in that group just because there's just a lot of experience. These teams, I mean, Antonian made it to the regionals last year, and they in my mind, should compete for not only a state Final Four appearance, but at least make it to the state title game because they're loaded. They got multiple state players back. We're making some bold
predictions here, Thomas.
I really like ACP. I really like the Apaches.
All right. Well, you've heard it here first. They're going all the way. Thomas, let's conclude the show with our VYPE Austin Private School Volleyball Top 10. At number 1, is it any surprise that we have Austin St. Michael's Catholic Academy? Following them is Austin Waldorf School. Number 3, we've got the Round Rock Christian Academy, followed by Texas School for the Deaf. Regent School of Austin behind them. Austin St. Dominic Savio Catholic. We have Fredericksburg Heritage School. At number 8, Austin St. Andrews Episcopal School. Number 9, we've got the VERITAS Academy, followed and rounding it out with San Marcos Hill Country Christian School. Again, a lot of mouthfuls.
Especially when you start adding the towns in there. Yeah, I mean, these things get really long.
I like that Fredericksburg made both of our top 10s.
I mean, it makes sense. They're an hour from both cities.
But
they're also good enough to be in both rankings. Says a lot.
How are they going to compete? Since we've mentioned them twice, how are they going to compete here in both of these they're kind of in a central location for both of the regions? What does their schedule look like?
I mean, obviously they are towards the bottom, but that has nothing to do with how good they are. I mean, they are in one of the smaller classifications in this area and in the state, absolutely. And so, because of that, don't expect them to be like, number 1 in our ranking, but they are going to be really good. They're going to be making a deep run. I mean, literally, they have basically everybody back. And that's what I really like about this program. And they may be a smaller program in this area, but guess what? If you have talent, we'll recognize you. And this is a group that, definitely deserves all the preseason hype.
Talent and experience go a long way. I think that especially when you're talking about high school sports, volleyball is no exception. Experience is key. The fact that they have so many returning players here at Fredericksburg Heritage School, I have a feeling that they'll go a good distance and have a pretty solid season.
For sure. And obviously, some of the teams at the top, St. Michael's Catholic Academy made a nice run to the state Final Four last year. Waldorf is loaded in one of the smaller classifications in this area. Round Rock Christian Academy has a lot of experience. I mean, this is a program that has consistently been one of the better ones in the state the last couple of years. There's a lot of good volleyball talent in this area, especially in the private school realm.
Well, that concludes our volleyball preview show for the 2019-2020 season. Thomas, if somebody was looking for more expertise on volleyball, who should they go to?
Well, definitely VYPE.com. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, we've been releasing all the previews, rankings, breakdowns, etc., all VYPE team. So definitely check out VYPE.com for not only volleyball, but all the other sports throughout the school year. Also, you got all the social medias, VYPE Texas, Facebook, Instagram. You got VYPE ATX, VYPE SATX on Twitter. Don't forget about And we'll be bringing on VYPE volleyball expert Chuck Licata throughout the year, so definitely stay tuned for his insight. But also, go check out all the VYPE live broadcasts throughout the school year. They'll be broadcasting basically all the sports out there, so definitely stay tuned for all that, plus the show on a weekly basis. Talk to y'all next week.